So first of all, I would like to thank you, Narendra sir and Dr. Vasu and all the faculties of Chanakya University. And it's a great pleasure to interact with the students. So I'm given the job to put some insights to the students, how to prepare for second PUC statistics examination. So whatever I have my 25 years of experience of teaching the subject, so I would like to give some tips to write the examination in the better way. And if you have any clarifications, I'll try to clarify all. So I'm given 1 hour time to interact with you. In this one hour, what exactly I'm going to concentrate on is that one is the blueprint. That is for every academic year, before going to prepare the question paper, first they give the blueprint. Based on the blueprint, the question paper will be prepared. So we'll go through, which will give even the weightage of all the chapters and how the questions will be asked on different chapters, units. And secondly, in the examination, we'll have 3 hours, 15 minutes time to write. And that 15 minutes you will be given to go through the question paper, effectively how to make use of those 15 minutes time. And still, if the time permits, I'll go through one of the model question papers provided by the PU board with the answers and what is the better way of writing. Generally, how we should write the paper is that when you write the answers, when the teacher is evaluating, your presentation should be in such a way that you are with the teacher. So what is the best way of writing, particularly the statistics paper? I'll try to cover all the 3 aspects. Let me share the screen. Sir, can you see the screen, sir? Students, one of you interact with me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now look into this, the blueprint. So accordingly, the question paper will be set for this academic year. And you have total 8 units: vital statistics, index numbers, time series, interpolation and extrapolation, theoretical distributions, statistical inference, statistical quality control, popularly known as SQC, and you have operations research. Now, the aim of the second PUC students, the dream of any second PU students, particularly in the practical papers like mathematics, accountancy, and statistics, to score 100 on 100. Many students would ask, sir, is it easy to score 100 on 100 or is it difficult? For this particular academic year, I'll tell you, this is not at all difficult to score 100. What you'll have to understand is that basic fact, you are not scoring 100 on 100. That keep it in mind. You are scoring 100. Look into this, the mark with the green color. Come back to last one. One 195. Whatever you are scoring the marks, it is not for 100. It is for 195 you are trying to score. The marks which you are writing the paper is for 195. Out of 195, you are asked to score 100. That is the way it is easy to score 100, but not out of 100. Then you might ask, sir, is it easy to write for 195 marks in 3 hours? Not at all easy. It is very difficult, but possible. If not for 195, all of you can try to write the paper at least for 120, 130, 140, 145 marks you can write. If you write up 145, you can always expect 100 out of 145. That is the way you keep it in mind And when you are preparing for the examination, do not prepare in such a way that you write the paper only for 100. You have to write the paper at least for 130, 140 marks, even 20, 30, 40 marks are wrong. Still, you get 100 on 100. Now we look into chapter wise. What is the weightage? How the questions will be asked? Look into first, vital statistics. Out of the total 195, from this particular chapter, vital statistics, you will have problems or the questions for 26 marks. And how these 26 are divided. Look into the question paper, model paper, I think all of you must be knowing. You have 5 divisions. Section A, Section B, Section C, D, and E. So carrying what is the weightage, it is on top of that. This is 1, 2, 5, 10, and 5. How the questions will be asked? You will have for 1 mark, 2 questions from vital statistics, and 2 in section B, 2 in section C, and 1 in section D. And section E, you will not have any problems from vital statistics. Look at the next chapter. Index numbers. 38. The more weightage comparing with all the other chapters. This the one chapter is enough to get through the examinations. You will have for 38 marks from this particular chapter, index numbers. How the questions will be asked? Exactly the same way you will have in the question paper. I will show you even the model paper prepared by PU board. So you will have 1 mark 2 questions and 2 marks 3, 5 marks section C, you will have 2, section D 2, which carries 10, and section E, you will not have any problems. Third one, time series. Having the weightage just equal to vital statistics, you will have 2, again 2, and section C 2, and section D 1. Now look into these 3 chapters, vital statistics, index numbers, and time series. And you all know that the easiest chapters in the entire syllabus. And these are the chapters you can write, solve the problems without committing any mistakes. Now see, what is the total weightage of these 3 chapters? If you are thorough with these 3 chapters, how many marks that you are going to get? Out of 8, when thorough with only 3 chapters, 6, 12, 20, 2 plus 2, 4, 6, plus 3, 9. So you will get out 95 marks you will get in these 3 chapters. 6 plus 6, 12 plus 8. 22 plus 2 plus 2. See, these 3 chapters are enough to score very good marks, not 100 on 100. And if you concentrate on this, now look into section D. We'll have 1 question from vital statistics, 2 from index numbers, and 1 from time series. Now come to the interpolation and extrapolation, another easiest chapter, but the weightage is very small. You will have in section B 1 problem for 2 marks and 1 question in section C for 5 marks. That is the weightage. And theoretical distributions, little bit difficult chapter. Weightage is 27. How they are distributed? 3, 2, 2, 10 marks. Why it is given half of it? That means from this particular chapter in section D, you will not have complete problem. You will have only half of the problem. And below that, you have another chapter that is statistical inference. So in that also, you have half of the question. That is, you will be given 1, 2, 3. 5th question will be A and B. A from theoretical distributions and B from statistical inference. That is the reason why it is given only half of the questions. And in section A, theoretical distributions, you will have 1 problem. Then statistical inference, another little bit difficult chapter. Weightage is 37. And this is the chapter-wise weightage, the 3, 2, 3, and half of it in section D. And you will have 2 problems in section E. Why do we say these 2 chapters are little difficult, theoretical distributions and statistical inference? Actually, they are not difficult, but the problem in the last year when you were in first PUC, you actually had 2 chapters, the probability and random variables. They were removed from the syllabus. And most of the colleges, you were not taught those 2 chapters. Without having the basic knowledge of the random variables and probability, it is very difficult to understand theoretical distributions and statistical inference. In those colleges, if they have done for these 2 chapters, given the basic insights of probability and random variables, made you to understand those 2 chapters, then you are taught with theoretical distributions and inference. Is of not that difficult. Otherwise, little difficult, we will see, can we ignore, what happens if we ignore theoretical distributions and statistical inference, how many marks that we can score. Another chapter is the SQC. Total weightage again is very small, 8. Section A, you will have one problem. Section B, one question. And section C, one. And D and E, you will not have. Operations research. Simple chapter. And very important. Very important in the sense that, look into this section A. Here it is a 2, 2, 2. Section A, you will have 2 problems. Total will be given 5. You will have to answer 2. Then 2 questions you will get from operations research. Here, 3 questions from theoretical distributions and inference, a little bit difficult. And you will have to answer 2 out of 5. These 2 questions you can select from operations research. So this is the weightage of various chapters. And when you look into here 1 mark, how many you will have to answer? 10 questions you will have to answer out of 15. This is only for this academic year, not for all the academic years. The choice is given more. It is because instead of reducing the syllabus, you are given the more choice in such a way that some chapters, if you find difficult, even by ignoring those chapters, you can score good marks. That's the way these choices are given only for this particular academic year. And section B, again, you will have to answer 10 out of 15. Now look into section C, almost 50%. You will have to answer 8 out of 15. Then section D, more than 50% choice. You have to answer only 2 out of 5. Very similarly, in section E also, you will have to answer only 2 out of 5. So total it is for 195 marks you will be given the paper. Then when you are answering the question paper, how to make use of these choice questions which are given. In section A, you will be given 15 questions, you will have to answer 10. What happens, sir, when I answer all the 15? You are allowed to answer all the 15. Not only in section C, section A, B, C, D, and E also. If you know the answers, here you can answer all the 15. Here all the 15 you can answer. And here also is 15, 5, 1, 5. Suppose if you answer all the 15, out of first 10 you have answered, 1 and 2 only wrong. But 11th and 12th are correct. You'll get 10 out of 10. It is not that whatever the first you have written will be considered. You need not even write extra. You can continuously answer all the 15 questions. Best to 10 will be considered. That is the advantage for you. That's what I told you. It is not difficult to score 100 on 100, provided if you have the ability to write more than required in the question paper. You should not prepare answer only 10. I'll prepare for only 10. It should not be. Answer 10. At least you should be able to write 12, 13, 14, if possible, all the 15. I'll discuss how to answer the question paper. So this is the weightage that is given for different units. And the easiest chapters are vital statistics, index numbers, and time series. If you ignore theoretical distributions, what happens? So look into this. Or first consider statistical inference. Generally, the students find it little difficult, average students. If you completely ignore statistical inference, nothing will happen. You can still score 100 on 100, not even 1 mark less than 100, completely by ignoring statistical inference. Weightage is 37, but actually this chapter takes almost 3 months to complete. Now look into 1 mark questions. You will get 3 from statistical inference. But in the examination, you have to answer 10 out of 15. Remove these 3 from 15. Still you have 12. Still you have choice. You are answering 10 out of 12. So no problem when you completely ignore statistical inference. Next, section B, 2 marks. 2 questions will be asked. But again here, you have to answer 10 out of 15. Leave, reduce 2 from 15. Still you will have 13. You have to answer 10 out of 13. You have 3 choice again there. Look into section C, where you will have 5 marks questions. You will be given 3 from statistical inference. And again, out of 15, take out this 3. You still have 12. How many you have to answer? Only 8. 8 out of 12 you have to answer. No problem if you ignore statistical inference. Here, doesn't matter at all. You have to answer only 2 out of 5. If you take off, still you have 4.5. Remove that off also from theoretical distribution, still you have 50%. You have to answer 2 out of 4. You can happily select from the first 3 chapters. So it doesn't make any difference. So look at the last one. Inference, section A, you'll have 2 problems. If you ignore these 2 problems out of 5, still you have 3. You have to answer 2 out of 3. So completely by ignoring statistical inference, with the choice you can write the paper from 120 to 125 marks you can write, still you can expect 100 on 100. It is not at all a problem. Ignore from writing the examination, but not statistical inference. Very, 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 very important chapter. Since I'm talking about from the point of examination point of view, I'm telling you to ignore. Otherwise, this is the most important chapter. Somewhere after completing your PUC, when you get into BCom or any other course, or when you get into towards the data analytics or data science, this chapter will help you a lot. You learn all the basics in statistical inference. It really helps a lot. Keep in mind the statistical inference. From the examination point of view, I'm talking. So if you feel it difficult to answer the questions, if you think that you might commit the mistakes, keep it the last choice. After answering all the required questions, then you'll go for statistical inference. Sir, I feel theoretical distribution is difficult. Some students, they say generally in the class, sir, what happens if I ignore even theoretical distributions also? Only in section A, you will have a problem, because in theoretical distributions and statistical inference, together you will be asked for 6 marks. And out of 15, if you leave 6, you are left with only 9. But you will have to answer 10 out of 9. It is not possible. So you'll have to compromise. So except in section A, in all the other problems, it is not at all a problem. Including section A, you can score up to 99, you can score. And even this chapter doesn't make any difference when it comes to section B, section C, section D. But section A, if you are ignoring this, you should be very perfect with operations research. You should be able to answer 2 out of 2. If that is the case, you can ignore these 2 chapters. So by ignoring little bit difficult chapters also, it is possible to score 99 out of 100. Or if you concentrate on theoretical distributions and ignore statistical inference, still you can score 100 on 100. That is the way you will have to prepare for your examinations. That is the way we understand the blueprint, based on which the question paper is prepared. Now, when it comes to selection of the questions, come to that 3 hours, 15 minutes time. First, you will be given question paper. First 15 minutes, you will not be given answer sheet. You are not allowed to write. When I was doing the invigilation, I generally used to observe the students. They keep on reading the question paper for 15 minutes, will be reading. That will not help you. How to make use of that 15 minutes time is, when you are given the question paper, directly you go to section D. Do not look into section A and B, because they are 1 and 2 marks questions. Much of the analysis of these questions is not required. When you know the answer, you are going to write it. Otherwise, you ignore it. So when it comes to the section D, first problem will be from vital statistics. Next 2 from index numbers. And the next one is from time series. Read the first problem. You have 15 minutes time. Please try to understand. Read the first problem, vital statistics. Try to understand it. Analyze it. Try to recall the formula. What are you asked to calculate? Is it STDR? How the information is given? Population and death, population and death for 2 populations. Our death rate is given, or death per 1,000 is given. How the information is given? What am I asked to calculate in that? Analyze. If you are very sure that you know how to answer it, if you are convinced yourself, just put a small dot with the pencil. You are not allowed to put any marks in the question paper, right or wrong. Just put a small dot with the pencil. Then come to the next one. From index numbers, you will have two questions. Read one of them. Is it the Fisher's index number with TRT and FRT? Or is it Marshall-Edworth or Darvish-Bowley? If it is the Fisher's index number, do I know the formula? P01 is called square root of P1 Q0 by P0 Q0 into. So you recall the formula. If you know that, how to answer it, and look at the information given. Price and quantity, or the expenditure or values are given. Generally, usually expenditure and values will not be given as per the discussions. Somewhere those who set the question paper by mistake, by oversight, given the expenditure and values. Converting expenditure and values into price and quantities, there is a chance of committing mistake. You can do it without mistakes. Instead of that, go for another one. There will be one more questions in index numbers. So one is from Fisher's index number. Other one would be either Marshall-Edworth or Darvish-Bowley or combined together, including TRT and FRT. Recall what is the TRT is P01 into P10 is equal to 1. Okay, I'll have to substitute and equal to 1. So recall even FRT also if it is asked. P01 into Q01 is equal to V01. I know it. If you are convinced, recall the procedure. You put a small dot on the next question. Then don't read in section D because you need to answer only 2 questions from section D. Try to analyze. Then go to section E. Ignore first 2. Go to the last 2 because they are from the operations research. It may be from replacement theory, or it may be from game theory, or it may be from some other topic, linear programming, graphical method. So read one problem and identify this is from which topic. It is from the replacement theory. Recall the structure, the table, what all I need to write, and what are the information given, how to calculate. If you can recall the procedure, you put a small dot on that. Go to the next one. Is a game theory? Is it the dominance property? Or if it is from inventory theory, is it the model 1 or model 2? Shortages are given, shortages are not given. Do I know how to identify it, model 1 or model 2? You put a dot. Read only 2. Then don't come back here. Suppose you find it difficult, one of them, you know only answer for only one, then look into these 2, either from theoretical distributions. If it is from theoretical distributions, identify, is it from binomial, or is it from Poisson distribution, or is it from hypergeometric, or is it from normal distribution? So generally in these 4 only you will be asked. How the information is given, the parameters are given or not, what is the formula, what is the PMF, can I recall, how to substitute? So do I need to convert binomial to Poisson, or is it the direct problem? So try to analyze it. If you are convinced, you mark that. So identify only 2, you mark them. Then come to section C. The first 2 from vital statistics. Read both the problems, analyze what exactly you are asked to calculate. So is it GRR or NRR or TFR? What are you asked to calculate? Mark 2 questions. By the time you analyze and mark these 2, your 15 minutes will get over. Either by reading only section D or section A, or 1 or 2 problems in section D. You will not get to more than that. In 15 minutes, you can read and analyze and understand only 5 to 6 problems, not more than that. This time would save you when you try to answer them. When they are given the answer sheet, when you come to these sections, again, you need not to read them. Directly, you have already marked it. Just go to that particular problem. You will be knowing the procedure because it's already analyzed how to solve it. That saves 15 minutes of your time out of your 3 hours. Instead of reading constantly all the questions for 15 minutes. And why I tell you to start from section D is much analysis is not required in section A or section B. Because in section A, 1 mark, you read it, you know the answer, you write it, otherwise you leave it. The much analysis is required to identify in the same particular chapter, so which method, which formula is to be used. So that is of great use. Then you will get your answer sheet, your 15 minutes time gets over. You can answer starting from any section, either section A, section B, section D, or E. Whichever the section you go for, neatly just write the section and which question number. You will have the question numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. But always better to write section D. That would help the evaluator. If you write the section D, if you write 23 question, directly you will go to the, section C, 35th problem, directly you go to 35th the question, their marks will be allotted. That would help the evaluator. Always write the which section and what is the question number. Suppose you decided to answer from the first section A. How many you will have to answer? You will have to answer 10 out of 15. Go through. Suppose if you know the answers for all the 15, better write all the 15. Because the 1 mark questions won't take much of your time. No problem at all. If you know only 12, you write 12. If you know only 13, you write 13. Then come to section B. Again, you'll have to answer 10 out of 15. You are a brilliant student. You know all the 15. Again, 2 marks questions won't take much time. Write all the 15, complete. Otherwise, write 12, 13. If you know only 13, you write only 13. If you know only less than 10, nothing can be done. If you know more than 10, whatever you know, you write completely. You write up to 15, you write. When it comes to section C, don't do the same thing, whatever you have done for section A and section B. Here you'll have to answer 8 out of 15. You answer only 8. Don't try to answer extra questions here at this point of time. Because when try to write all the 15, you may not have time to complete section D and section E. You will be left with the 20 plus 10, 30 marks, you will lose. You should be happy with only 70. You answer only 8 questions. How to select this 8 out of 15? The easiest chapter C you have here. Vital statistics, index numbers, time series, interpolation and extrapolation, and go for statistical, quality control or operations research. Or you are a good student and you know even you have no problem with the theoretical distributions and inference. Answer them, answer only 8. In that also, out of 15, only in section C, there is a chance of asking 2 theory questions. Theory means in time series, you may be asked, briefly explain the various components of time series. Or in index numbers, you may be asked, what are the various steps of the construction of general price index numbers or cost of living index numbers? However good you may be in theory, do not try to write them. Whatever you write, if you think that that is sufficient for 5 marks, the evaluator who evaluates, because that will be evaluated by all the teachers who teach statistics in the entire Karnataka will come for the evaluation. If that particular person thinks that it is not enough, he might give only 4. But that will not happen for practical problems. You will have the scheme of evaluation for the practicals. Even for theory, it will be there, but there can be the human bias. So never try to write the theory. You can avoid because you will be given 15. Take out this 2. Still you have 13. Answering 8 after 13, not at all a problem. Select only numerical problems. All the 8 numerical problems you write. Only 8 you answer. Then come to section D. We have already discussed. Select only from vital statistics, index numbers, and time series. The time series, just is the linear trend, quadratic trend, or it may be exponential. Whatever it may be, select only 2 and answer. You would have already selected while reading the paper. Answer only those 2. Even though you know, you tempt to answer because I know all the 4, I'll write all the 4. Don't do that. You answer only 2, not all the 4. Then come to section A. Again, what are the questions that you have already marked? It is from operations research or one from OR and one from either theoretical distributions or statistical inference. Answer only 2. Suppose you have completed 2 and you are done with 2.5 hours of time and still you have 30 minutes with you. Now you think of answering more questions. After completing whatever is required in all the sections. Why I told you to write complete 15 and 15 section A and B, because that will not take much of your time. But section D and E, if you try to answer extra questions in one section, you may not have time. If you try to answer all the sections, 15 in section C and 5 in section D, you may not have time to complete section E, which is compulsory to answer to. You will end up with losing 10 marks there. That's the reason why I told you here you answer only 8, answer only 2, and answer only 2. Then you have half an hour time. Come back to section D. Already answered 2. Select one more. Write only one more. Sir, I know all the 5. The remaining 3 I'll write. Don't do that. because you always will have to write one question more in every section. You write one more. Suppose already written 1 and 2, now you have written another one. Don't write it as extra, not required. Teacher will evaluate all the three and he will take whichever the question that you got the best marks. For whichever you got, 10 out of 10 will be considered. Suppose you have answered first vital statistics, another index number you have done it, and one more index number. After that, you have solved it. At the end, you have solved it. First two answered, you got a 10 and you got 7. The last at the end, within half an hour time, you have answered the other question from index number. For that, you got 10. The question which you got 7 will be made it as extra by the teacher, and that will not be considered. Whatever you written the first, not considered. Whatever the best you have written will be considered. Even if you have answered all the 5, out of 5, which 2 questions will get 10 out of 10 will be considered. Suppose out of 5, you got marks like this: 10, 7, 6, 4, 3, 10. First and last will be considered. They will get 20 out of 20 in that. So after answering one question extra here, then go to section A. Already answered 2 more. If you know that one more, you write extra. If you do not know that one more to write it, don't write all the 5, just one more. Then come to section C. If you know, you write extra, come to section C. If you do not know, you know only 2, just leave it, come to section C. Answered already 8 and go for one more extra. Just write one more. By the time your 3 hours will get over. How many you are writing extra? Here for 10 marks, here for 5, 15, and here for 5, 20, here 5 into 2, 10, 25, here 5, 30 marks, 130 marks you are writing. Suppose still you have time after writing 1, then go back to section D again, repeat it. Answer 3, go for one more. So you are answering 4. Then again go to section A, answer one more. Then come back to section C until you complete the time. So keep on repeating, writing one question more than required. Then you can always expect 100 out of 100. Even some questions are wrong. Whoever tells the first what you write will be considered, it is not correct. Not only in statistics, in all the papers, it is the same. The best you have written, provided if you write the question number perfectly. Wherever you are answering, you write section and the question number. Even if you do not write the section, also will be evaluated because the question numbers will not be repeated. So 1, 2, it will be continued. But sometimes that may irritate the teacher because you have to search which section is from and then all are the marks. Don't do that. Whichever the question that you are answering, just put section D. It is 45th problem. Section D, 46th problem. When you're continuously writing, once you write section D, write all the problems. And when you come to the extra questions writing, no need to write it as extra. So directly you answer it. So that is the way you plan to write your answer sheet. So that is the way you select the questions. I think I made it clear how to make use of 15 minutes and what is the how to analyze the blueprint of the question paper. This is only for this academic year. For every academic year, the blueprint changes. It will be shared with the people who set the question paper. So accordingly, based on the same weightage, the question paper will be set. So in this particular, whatever I have discussed, I'll go to the other part, that is analyzing the question paper prepared by the PU board. We'll try to analyze and we'll see what are the do's and don'ts in that. Before that, in this, if you require any clarity, if you have still any doubts, sir, can I do like this, like this? If you are allowed to talk to me by the host, I'll give you just 2 to 3 minutes time. You can ask. Otherwise, I'll go to the other screen. Okay, fine. So,
sir, you can go to the other screen. Sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. So this is the model paper by the PU board. you can see very clearly here, total number of questions 55. So all the 55, you have 1 to 55. No question is repeated. That the reason why I told you is enough if you write only the question paper. Then you have section A, you are given 15, you'll have to answer only 10. 10 into 110. You can answer all the 15, but minimum you'll have to answer 10. Section B, you have again 15. Section C, you have 15. And section D, you are given 5, you'll have to answer only 2. And section E, you are given again 5, you'll have to answer 2. And as per the order of the chapter, the questions will be asked. See here, it is from theoretical distributions and from inference another problem. And you have from OR, and here also it is from OR. So when it comes to section D, see, first is from vital statistics, next two are from index numbers, and the next one is from time series. So this model paper is already answered. One of my friends has answered that, and you have both the question and answers. I will share the screen with you. We will analyze. So look into this. Answer any 10 of the following questions. You are given 15. 10 questions are answered by one of my friends, Prasanna Joshi, has done it. There's nothing much to discuss about this define. You all must be knowing by this time. Define fecundity. So you will be asked 2 questions from vital statistics. Define life table. What it is exactly, you know. Name the index number which does not satisfy unit test. Simple aggregate price index number, except that all the other index number satisfies. Define consumer price index number. What is histogram? Which variation of the time series is unpredictable? So generally, you know that it is called the irregular variation, and you know it is random variation, but it is also called erratic variations. If you already know, discussed by the teachers, it is fine. It is called the irregular variation. It's called random variation. They are the general terms, but it's also called erratic variation. Sometime rarely you may be asked define erratic variations, or what are erratic variations, you may be asked. So write the parameter of the Bernoulli distribution. What is the total area under the normal curve? You know that not only normal curve, for any probability distribution, the total area is 1. Now look into this 9th one. For a chi-square variate, if probability of 0 less than chi-square less than 13.33 is equal to 0.5, find the median. So what is the median and what is the justification for that? Now look into. So this is the chi-square. This question is from chi-square distribution problem. Now I draw the, 1 second. So you all know that is a positively skewed distribution. And just now we discussed the total area under any probability distribution is always equivalent to 1. It takes the values from 0 to infinity. Somewhere you have here the value 13.33. From 0 here, the origin start with the 0. This value represents 13.33. So here you have 0 to 13.33. The total area is 0.5. And from 0 to 13.33, what you are given 0 less than chi-square less than 13.33 is 0.5. If the total area is 1 and this particular part is 0.5, this remaining must be equivalent to 0.5. That means this is the line 13.33 is dividing this curve into exactly two equal parts, 0.5 and 0.5. You all know that the median is a point which divide the data into two equal parts. Since this 13.33 divides into exactly two halves, that is 0.5 and 0.5, 13.33 must be the median. That is the justification. You need not write like this in the examination. You can just write median is equal to 13.33. So you must know that why the median is 13.33, because this 13.33 divide this data into two equal parts. That is the justification. Now come back to other questions. What is meant by estimation? You all know the definitions. You can answer, define LPP, define strategy in a game. Now come to these 2 marks questions, very important. In a life table, if L1 is equal to 95,400 and L2 is equal to 93,492, then find D1. Most of the times have observed while evaluating the papers, what they do is they write only this part, 95,400 minus 93,492, 1,908. They come out, they verify the answers with others, find that I'm correct. But this is for 2 marks. This part is very important. D1 is equal L1 minus L2. Wherever the formula is involved, it is must to write it. Formula carries one score and getting the answer carries the another score. Together we'll get 2. Like that, look at the next one. Summation P1Q is equal to 450 and summation P0Q is 400. Find Cayley's price index number. And again, do not do the same mistake. Must to write this formula without writing. If you think that I've written 450 by 400 into 100, 112.5, my answer is correct. Answer is correct, but you will end up with only 1 and we'll be losing 1 mark for that. So this formula is must to write. Wherever the formula is involved, particularly for 2 marks, formula always carries 1 mark. See here also it is the same. So you have given I, index number, price index, and you are given the weightages W into I, and this formula. You might write either summation WP or WI. Anything is okay. Whatever the way you are taught in the colleges, I also refers to price index. P also refers to price index. It's called the group index. So can be denoted by either I or capital letter P, which is the price index. Both are the same meaning, P1 by P0 multiplied by 100. But it is must to write this formula. By oversight or thinking that time is not enough, since I know I'm getting the correct answer, 1130 by 10 is 113, I'm correct. No, you are not correct. You will get only 1 mark for that and you will be losing another one. That is the way the scheme of valuation goes. In the scheme of valuation, it will be given writing formula, 1 score. Getting the correct answer, another score. That is the way it will be given. So you should be very careful there. So wherever the explanation is required, I will do it. Otherwise, the definitions are only the formula. I'll just go through. See, this question, sir, 20-second can be asked in two different ways. Diagrammatically represent business cycle with stages. This is the way you have to answer. Because you are asked to diagrammatically represent. You will have to draw the diagram and represent what are the different stages: prosperity, recession, depression, and recovery. And this is the normal state. Instead of that, suppose this word is not there, diagrammatically represent. Diagrammatically is not there. Represent a business cycles with the stages, or what are the various stages of a business or the trade cycle. No need to follow this diagrammatic representation. You can just write one by one. Prosperity, below that recession, below that depression, below that recovery. It doesn't make any difference. So 1, 2, 3, 4, you write, you'll get complete 2 marks for that. But when you are asked to write a diagrammatically, and if you do not draw the diagram, just state all the 4, you will not get. For the diagram, you will be losing 1. For only the stages, you will get another 1 mark. So there also you should be very careful while writing. Then conditions to apply for nothing to explain. Find probability of you write the formula and you look in the table. And for what value of lambda you get e power minus lambda is equal to 0.0067. If any of the students, if you do not know this, you are given probability of x is equal to 0 is how much you are given the lambda. Generally, when the lambda is given, we'll try to calculate the probability. Here it is asked the other way. And in the examination, you will be provided with the statistical tables, and you are not allowed to carry your own statistical tables. Will be provided in the examination. In a room, if there are 30 students, in a room, there may be 4 or 5 statistical tables will be there. When you are writing the answer that particular question, you make a request. Suppose all the 5 tables are taken by 5 students. You go for another question where the table is not required. Do not waste your time waiting for the tables. And do not complain also. Sir, only 5 tables are there. How to answer them? So you will be wasting your time. Afterwards, the time will not be given. So just leave that the question and go to the another one where the tables are not required. So afterwards, make a request and get the table. And based on the table, you calculate for e power minus lambda. What is the value in the table? You will get 0.0067. So here also it is the same. Given the n value, and you are asked to find out the standard deviation, and formula is must. Write the formula and then substitute. So very similarly here, p is given and n is given. Asked to find out standard error of proportion, square root of p cube by n. Substitute, you will get the answer. And this is the definition. And here also it is you are given x double bar, r bar, and a2 values are given. And again, see everywhere it is must to write the formula and then substitute the values. What are the degenerate? You will write it in the question and answers. So read from the notebooks given by the teachers or from the textbook, you get the answers. Now look into section C. From the following data, find the CBR and GFR. CBR, no problem at all. GFR, you should be very careful. GFR, see here it is marked. You need not mark like this in the examination, not required. But you should be careful with the formula GFR. Number of live births during a year, no problem at all. You should be very careful with the denominator. Total number of women of childbearing age. Total women of childbearing age. Childbearing age, the women age 15 to 49 years. That means women from 0 to 14 years should not be considered. Women from 50 to 79, 80 and above should not be considered. Sometimes the student, they write it. So 11413 divided by 1,79,000 is not 1,79,000. It should be 98,000 only. It is the women. Male population should not be considered very clearly. It is only the women population. But not all the women population. Is the women population of only childbearing age should be considered. There you should be very careful. Now see both the places formula is written. What is CPR? And the formulas also carry this for 5 marks. Formula carries 1 mark and for this one, and here it is 1 and 1, and table carries another 1 mark. So it is very important. You can write either this one or the next one. Any formula, what is given by the teachers in the classroom. So it is must to write the formula. I think this is clear. GFR, you be careful. And very similarly here for the following data, calculate GRR, gross reproduction rate. So for that you require women specific fertility rate So for which you write the formula, how to calculate. No need to show the working for everything, just the formula. And for one age group, how to calculate it, women specific fertility rate. The remaining are calculated by using the same one. And it is summing and multiply by I. General purpose, we write I, but it's always 5 only. So you always will be given here also quinquennial age group. That is only the 5 years age groups will be given. The general formula, we write it as I only. In TFR, where in the general formula also we write 5, but in GRR, it is not like that. In the general formula, you are not supposed to write 5 here. You should write it as the I. It is the magnitude of the class interval. That magnitude always will be given 5 only. 5 into whatever the total that you get, you multiply, you will get it. Sometimes in these problems, you may be asked to find out or comment on GRR or GRR per women. So this should be multiplied by 1000. So this is for 1000 female population. If there's 1000 female population, there will be 1480 female live birth. So that is the meaning. So divide by 1000, you'll get 1.48. Whenever this value is more than 1, it is an indication that the population is tending to increase. If the less than 1, population is going to decrease. It is equal to 1, population remains stable. It is going to be constant. Maybe ask for 1 and 2 marks also. Comment if GRR is greater than 1, GRR is less than 1, and GRR equal to 1. Greater than 1, population is going to increase. Less than 1, population is going to decrease. And is equal to 1, population remains the same. So formula is required. Please better write. That's what I told you. When you are reading the question paper in those 15 minutes time, analyze the question from which topics, which chapter, and what are the formula involved. Do I know those are formula? That is the way you analyze. That will save you when you are writing the answers. Easily you can recall the question formula and then write. This is what I told you, theory questions. Here it is asked. What are the steps involved in the construction of index numbers? Explain any 2 of them. Or sometimes you may be asked, explain briefly all the steps in the construction of index numbers. Whatever the better way you write like this, teacher might think that, so this answer deserves only 4, not 5. So you'll end up with only 99 out of 100, provided if you're not written the extra questions and written all the others are correct. So try to avoid, because you have a lot of choice. So you have 15. One in section C will be asked like this. If asked, out of 15, you have to answer 8. Difficult chapters leaving 3. So still you have 12, you have to answer 8. Leaving other 2 also, you have to answer 8 out of 10. So you can always select the numerical problems. Find the price index number. Following are the prices of items. Geometric mean index number. Very simple. Calculate the logarithms. And you are allowed to use the scientific calculators. All of you must be knowing this. You are allowed to use the scientific calculators. Use the calculator. Don't try to read it from the table. It will take your time. You may be perfect in reading from the tables, but it will take a lot of your time while reading from the table and writing. So try to avoid it. Make use of scientific calculators. Sometimes if the invigilator, if he doesn't know that the students are allowed to use the scientific calculators, might come to you. The moment if they see that the students are using the scientific calculators, might tell you that you are not allowed to use the scientific calculator. Never try to argue with them. I'm allowed to use the scientific calculator. Like this, you will be losing your time. Just to show them the question paper. In the question paper, in the instructions, here you will have, here it is not directly answered. I had shown you that the question paper. No, you go through any of the question papers. The one of the instructions will be, students maybe use the scientific calculators. You love that instruction. Tell them, I'm allowed to use the scientific calculators. Please do not disturb me. If you want, you get the clarification. Just only very politely, you tell them only one sentence that I'm allowed to use, show them the question paper, and you are allowed to use the scientific calculator. So calculate even the anti-logarithm, logarithm, everything you can calculate using the logarithms, using the scientific calculators. Obtain the trend values, 3 yearly moving averages. Here, very simple question, very easy to answer, but sometimes the students lose 1 mark. That is because this position is very important when you are answering the questions. See here, 3 yearly, you'll have to answer, add 86 plus 63 plus 45, and that should be written exactly against the middlemost value. This should not start with from here, 194, 166, 146, and last 2 years, no trend values. Answer is correct. All are correct. Here also you'll get correct. You'll get 4 marks for that. The position which is not correct, you're starting from the first one, you'll be losing 1 mark. So when you add either 3 yearly or 5 yearly, exactly against the middlemost value, you should write. If it is 3 yearly, first 2 years, last 2 years, you will not have the trend values. If it is 5 yearly, if it is 3 yearly, first 1 year, last 1 year, you will not have. If it is 5 yearly, first 2 years, last 2 years, you will not have trend values. Make sure that it comes in the middle. If it is even years, 2 years, first year and last year, you will not have trend values. It's the 4 years, first 2 years and last 2 years, you will not have trend values. And make sure that that position is correct. Otherwise, it's not a great mistake, but you will be losing 1 mark for that. So fit a linear trend by the method of least squares. For the following time series, fit a linear trend y is equal to a plus bx. These are the normal equations. Not necessary that you will have to write these normal equations, but necessary to write what is a and what is b. Even if you do not write these normal equations, it doesn't matter at all. So you are selecting the x values such that summation x is equal to 0. It is understood. Then you should write a is equal to summation y by n and b is summation xy by summation x square. Substitute, you'll get a and b, and substitute here, fitted straight line equation. Will be asked for 5 marks. When you are asked to calculate the trend values, will be asked for 10 marks. Trend values with the graph or without graph will be asked for 10 marks. For 5 marks, you will not be asked to calculate trend values, or maximum you may be asked to estimate for one of the years. So you are given up to 2012. You may be asked estimate the value for the year 2013. For 2012, it is 5. For 2013, it will be 6. It will be 7. Replace x by 7, you will get the estimated value. In this place, you have to replace x by 7. Like this, you may be asked to estimate for 1 or 2 years, but you will not be asked to calculate all the trend values for 5 marks. If you are asked to calculate all the trend values, that would be for in section D. Interpolate and extrapolate. One interpolation and one extrapolation is the binomial expansion method. You know the procedure. So you write the formula, substitute, you'll get the answer. Nothing much to explain here. So these are from inference chapter. This is from theoretical distributions. 40% of the people are vegetarians. In a randoms of 6%, find the probability that 3 are vegetarians, at least 1 is vegetarian. So it is which chapter? This is from the binomial distribution, properly identifying, writing the PMF, substitute, you get the answer. The next, read the problem, identify. If you are writing from theoretical distributions, the 2 questions will be asked. This is from geometric distribution, hypergeometric, substitute, you will get the answer. So I'll very quickly go through. I have only 9 minutes time to complete. And this is from the inference. And well, inference, identifying x bar minus mu by, is it s by square root of n and sigma by square root of n? The students will have doubts. So whenever this standard deviation or variance, if it is given for the sample, it is the s or s square. If it is given for the population, it is sigma or sigma square. See, clearly given in this problem, a sample consisting of 36 persons who practice yoga is observed. So 36 people are selected. For them, this variance is given. This variance 9 is calculated for the selected 36, where 36 is a sample. Since this variance 9 is calculated for the sample, so it is s square. And in the formula, it is yes, so 9 becomes 3 here. If it is given for the population, entire population, it is sigma. It is given only for the sample, it is yes. Sir, what happens by chance instead of writing yes here, if I write sigma? Nothing will happen. Maximum you may lose 1 mark. Or at the beginning, you may get complete, but your score is more than 95. It will go for another valuation. It will go for the review. There definitely you will lose 1 mark. Be careful. Very, very easy to identify. Is given for the sample, it is yes. If it is given for the population, it is sigma. That is the way you identify. And here also you see here, sample 1 and sample 2. Standard deviation 3.41 and 3.62. These standard deviations are given for the selected samples. Therefore, they are S1 and S2. If they are given at the beginning for the entire population without specifying the samples, then they will be sigma 1 and sigma 2. Given for the samples, yes, and for the population, it is sigma. Better always write the diagram, identify which is the critical region and which is the acceptance region, and see whether the calculated value comes into the critical region or it comes into the acceptance region. And there are some more questions where you need the explanation. I'll just go through all this. So this is just writing the formula and testing for independence of two attributes, chi-square, substitute. And this is what earlier I had drawn, this chi-square curve, 0 to infinity, it takes the values. And in this problem, 43rd one, be very careful. What are you asked to calculate? Determine the control limits for the number of defects. Generally, the chances of asking the questions with 3 graphs. There are 3 chapters involving the graph. One is the time series, another one is the linear programming, and another one is SQC. Maximum in the examination will be asked only one problem with the graph. If only the one problem is asked in 30 students, it will be given only 30 graphs. So do not ask for the graph for this, not required. You are asked to calculate only control limit. So do I get 5 marks for this? Yes, you will get. So for CL 1 mark, for LCL formula 1 mark and getting the answer another one, UCL formula 1 mark and getting the answer another one. That is the way the scheme of valuation is. And even do not waste your time. I don't get the graph sheet, I'll do it in the answer sheet only, drawing the tree. Instead of that, you can answer one question more than required. So be very specific. What is asked and what you need to answer. Determine the control limits. Nowhere it is specified, draw the control chart. Only when you are asked to draw the control chart, you require 3 lines. Otherwise, it is not required. So here you are asked to find out only the control limits. Only for the control limits, you'll have to write the formula and substitute. You'll get complete 5 marks for that. Now look into this. Solve the following LPP graphically. Should be very careful in these problems. I will show you afterward the question paper. Here it is the answer. In this, the question, whenever you have a problem with the graph, if any, in the entire state, even if one blind student is writing the examination, the blind students cannot answer the graphical problems. They will be given one more question, choice for them, either this or write down the procedure for the graphical method. How to solve the problem by graphical method, only procedure. That is only for the blind, but is not for you. So whenever there's a graphical method, when you have 2 questions, either this or this, and with the graph is for you, without graph, the question is asked, it is for the blind. It implies even for basic mathematics students. Wherever you have a problem with the graph, and in the entire state, even if one blind student is writing the examination, that another question will be there. It is there in this question paper. Since the answer is not specified here, I'll show you the question paper. If possible, I'll share now. I'll show you later after completing this. So you are not supposed to answer that. That is very simple, sir. Writing the procedure, I will write the procedure. That procedure only for the blind person, but not for you. And this is the graphical method. So this is x plus y equal to 10, and actually it is less than or equal to 10. And 3x plus 2y is greater than or equal to 15. You have 2 equations. Solving a problem in the graphical method is only identifying the common area. How to identify the common area is very simple. You draw the first line. This line, divide this first quadrant into 2 parts. One side is less than or equal to, other side is greater than or equal to. How to identify which side is less than or equal to, which side is greater than or equal to? Toward the origin is always less than or equal to, away from origin is always greater than or equal to. See from this line, 10, 9, 8, 7, toward the origin, the values are decreasing. 10, 9, up to 0, decreasing. So this side, toward the origin represent less than or equal to. So this entire area. Only in this entire area, draw the another line. Now 3x plus 2y. What is the equation here? Greater than or equal to. From this line, which side represent the greater than or equal to is away from the origin. If you come toward the origin, again the x and y are decreasing. Now see away from the origin, 8, 9, 10, increasing. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, increasing. Away from the origin, it increases. That is the way you identify. How to identify less than or equal to or greater than or equal to? When you draw the line, toward the origin always represent less than or equal to. Away from the origin always represent greater than or equal to. Then identifying the corner points and substituting, getting either the maximum or minimum value, you know how to answer it. I'm left with only 2 minutes time. Solve the following game using the principle of dominance, that you know how to do it, minimizing the rows and columns. Then section D, population and death, and see here death. Sometimes instead of giving the death, you may be given death per 1,000. When you are given the death per 1,000, it is already they are already ASDRs. Death per 1,000 population. You are given the death rates. Again, no need to calculate the death rates. If you are given like this death, then you will have to calculate the death rates. There, be careful while reading this problem of STDR, whether you are given along with the population, death rate is given, death per 1,000 is given, or deaths are given. If deaths are given, you need to calculate ASDRs and calculate, that will be asked for 10 marks. If death rates are given or death per 1,000 is given, they are only the ASDRs. Your job is only to get STDR, that will be asked only for 5 marks. So then you have your price and quantity, very direct problem, writing the formula and substituting the values. And here instead of the quantity, if you are given the expenditure or the values, if you're perfect in converting them into price and quantities, go for that. Otherwise, happily leave that. You will have one more problem. In both the problems won't be asked quantity and expenditure. One problem is asked quantity and expenditure. Other one will be directly the price and quantity, or price and quantities will be given. So here also it is the same. Again, the price and quantities are given. Both the problems are given directly. So you are asked here with the TRT and FRT. And you are given here, read this problem. A quadratic equation y is equal to a plus bx plus cx square by the method of least squares. And here you need not calculate the trend values. Even for 10 marks, quadratic and exponential trend values will not be asked. You need not calculate. It is only the fitting of equation. It is just finding the A, B, and C values. That itself will be asked for 10 marks. And like this, maximum may be asked to estimate only for 1 year. Not all the trend values, and asked to estimate for only one particular year. For that particular year, replace the X value, you get the estimated value. So then this is a fitting of Poisson distribution and testing whether it follows Poisson or not. Together, fitting of Poisson distribution is theoretical distributions. Verifying whether it follows Poisson distribution or not is from inference. Together it is asked. And here it is the normal distribution. As far as possible, you draw the normal curve and then solve the problem. It is always better. So one is from theoretical distributions. Other two, this is for the equality of proportions. And this is for a paid t-test from inference. And the next two will be from WAR, operations research. And he is my friend who has answered all these questions. So accordingly, do this. I'm almost done with my time. I'll just share one more screen, sir, just 2 minutes. Look into this particular problem.
9.
This one, 44th one. Solve the following LPP graphically. Maximize z is called 10x plus 15y. So you are given the graphical problem. If any one student writing, blind student is writing the examination, you will be given like this. Or see, given here for visually challenged students only. Explain graphical method of solving LPP. It is only for the blind students or only for the visually challenged students. It is not for you. You will have to answer only graphical method. Don't think that this is very simple. I'll get the answer. Marks you will not get. You'll get 0 marks for that. So like that, wherever the graphical method is involved, you'll be given another question for them. If provided one student is a physically challenged student in writing the examinations. So I think I'm done with my 1 hour time. So whatever the time is given to me, within that, whatever I could cover in 1 hour, I've done it. Hope, I think, believe that it would help you. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.